shaking the basketball world as the Celtics have agreed to send their 2024 Finals MVP to the 76ers, their longtime rival, in exchange for a package headlined by 36-year-old Paul George. Boston had tried and failed to send Brown to Milwaukee for Giannis Antetokounmpo, but was outbid by Miami. In return for Brown, the Sixers get Paul George, who is 36 years old and entering his 17th NBA season. He's under contract for this year with a $56 million player option for next year. They're also going to receive 2 first-round picks in 2028 and 2031 and 2 second-round picks. Let's dive in. We've got a full crew here with us today. Shams, I want to begin with you. This is a 29-year-old player in Jaylen Brown, an NBA Finals MVP. A 5-time All-Star. He's healthy. He's coming off a career year where he averaged 28 points per game, and this is the return that Boston got. Walk us through it. Empty the notebook.
Whether it was personal situations between the two players or whether it was just the on-court basketball fit, the Celtics had just made the determination that moving forward they can no longer win a championship, clearly, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. The Celtics received calls on Jason Tatum over the last couple weeks. They shut those down completely, from my understanding. But when it came to Jaylen Brown, they were open to listening, and they have been for quite some time now. Remember, in 2022, they offered Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant. This summer, they offered Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo. They missed out on both, and so it became about what can they get for him once the toothpaste was out of the proverbial tube. But why now? 3 years left on Jaylen Brown's contract. They go out seeking 4, 5 first-round picks in deals. It was very clear that Jaylen Brown felt a level of disrespect being thrown out there in trade talks. And, well, listen, the only way to make him feel better is by showing him the money in late July. 2 years, $145 million is what he was eligible for on an extension with the Celtics. All indications after this trade are that clearly that offer was never coming. That was never going to happen. And so the Celtics aggressively shopped Jaylen Brown over the last few days, and the bar kept going down. Every single day, it was getting lower and lower, and I had GMs telling me, eventually, Brad Stevens and the Celtics will have to trade him for 40 cents on the dollar. Now, why was his value so low? You can figure it out depending on who you ask, but to trade him at 29 years old to a rival, it is stunning for everyone in the NBA.
Excellent breakdown. Also, excellent suit. That color pops off the screen. Vince Goodwill, slide in here. You've been calling everyone you know in the league, trying to figure out how this makes sense. Make this make sense, because just 2 months ago, the Philadelphia 76ers fired Daryl Morey, the face of modern analytics in the NBA. And now, here we are 2 months later, trading for an analytically unfriendly player. Make it make sense for me.
Well, it's a number of things at work here. For one, it was the Shams part of it saying they were not going to extend him. There's the other element of this that says Jaylen Brown was not asking for a trade out of Boston. As much as he was disrespected, he was not asking for a trade. But one thing that was clear, the Celtics understood that after this season, after the great season that Jaylen Brown had, they were going to be out of the Jaylen Brown business. Whether that's trading him for Giannis Antetokounmpo or trading him for Paul George for a lot less value. It was clear to me and everybody else around the league that they didn't think that this relationship was no longer sustainable. And that's why you go trade for Paul George and you get a Mitchell Robinson and you get a Mike Conley. They got older and more hurt and more physically vulnerable, and you trade them to a team that not only knocked you out of the playoffs, but your rival, a team that you're going to have to see. That lets you know that you are not even fearful of Jaylen Brown's retribution to you and your franchise. That says a lot about what they think about what they don't think of him.
McNutt, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think you might have an opinion on what just went down. Give me your single biggest takeaway from this trade.
Well, that was cheap. Like, golly, that's not what you get for a guy that was just outside of your MVP voting this season, right? Like, depending on who you talk to, top 10, and if you want to extend it out, top 15 performer this past year. However, once you move past being befuddled by the decision the Celtics made, the Sixers just got even more dangerous in this Eastern Conference. You're looking at now being able to pair Brown and Maxey, guys that both averaged 28 points this past season. And yes, there's enough basketballs to go around, because each of them, Maxey was at 5 assists, or Maxey was at 5 assists, and Brown was at 6 assists. So I'm actually really excited to see what this is going to look like for the Sixers. And then I'll add to this, Joe. For me, the next thought was, well, look what the Sixers were able to do with not much of Joel Embiid this past season. Are they moving further and further away from that process in terms of still being able to contend, even though they got a whole situation going on with him?
Nicely done. Bobby Marks, slide in here. You weren't as surprised about the return Boston got for Jaylen Brown. Why?
Because trades are based on circumstances. Remember, yesterday morning, the Utah Jazz got more for Walker Kessler than the Boston Celtics did for Jaylen Brown. And I think when you kind of peel back the onion here, the demand for Jaylen Brown was just not there. And when you look at a contract in Paul George, one that I thought was not movable unless you had to actually attach a draft pick, that's the cost in a Jaylen Brown trade here. So when you kind of do your due diligence and you talk to people around the league, yes, people are high on Jaylen Brown, but not at the point of trading 3 or 4 first-round picks or a core player of their roster.
Chams, jump in here for the final word. Do you think the Celtics live to regret this trade, much like we saw with the Mavs and Luka Doncic?
I mean, certainly there were people in that Celtics organization that knew how difficult of a move this is going to be in the short term and what it could mean for the long-term ramifications. But I got to say here, Bobby Marks, he got a little bit of flack last week for what he said, but Bobby Marks is just delivering the message that I have gotten, many of us have gotten. Now, teams make their assessments on players, and so clearly the market did not dictate a return of 4 or 5 first-round picks. So as many texts as I got and Bobby got last night, like, oh, how could Jaylen Brown go for Paul George and this return? It's like, okay, was there anything better out there? And the answer within the Celtics was no.
We have so much more to break down with this trade, with everything.
Jaylen Brown out of Boston. The Celtics traded Jaylen Brown to the Sixers in a blockbuster deal that includes Boston receiving Paul George and 2 future first-round picks in 2028 and 2031, along with 2 future second-round picks in 2028 and 2030. A move that sent shockwaves through the NBA and fostered a reaction that only Kendrick Perkins could give us.
It was one of the dumbest trades in NBA history. And Mike Gansey, Jameer Nelson, Bob Myers, they should be serving breakfast in bed to Brad Stevens. I'm talking about cut up fruit, seedless grapes, mint tea, toast with strawberry jam, because they finessed the hell out of him. And if you're going to trade a guy that's a top 10 player, you at least got to get back a guy that's a top 15, top 20 player. And Paul George is not that. Paul George hasn't been consistently good since I was skinny. And that's been a long damn time.
Just a heck of a reaction from Kendrick Perkins right there. Let's welcome in our basketball analyst, Monica McNutt, to the show. And Monica, look, I had to turn the Paw Patrol off yesterday for my son because I said, we got to tune in and figure out what is happening. What was your reaction to this trade of Jaylen Brown going to Philly?
Girl, I was on a flight and woke up to a gazillion texts. I was like, what is going on? That's it? Is this real life? I think we all anticipated Brown getting moved just because of the tenor, if you will, of that seems to be coming out of Boston. But I kind of agree with Perk. Like, what in the world? That's all? But he's out of Boston. They clearly are moving on, and we'll see what it looks like for the Boston side of things. I got lots of questions on that end.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have questions for Boston as to, one, why they ended up trading Jaylen Brown, but also for what they traded Jaylen Brown for, and also